All right, so welcome to Sans Hosen. Welcome to Sans Hosen. Welcome to Sans Hosen.
Welcome to Sans Hosen.
You're close. Give them to me.
14.
Hi, this is a podcast. Do you ever listen to podcasts and think these people are too informed and they've got too much to say? I want to listen to a podcast that isn't trying to sell me anything. It isn't there for adverts. It isn't really even there for views. It's just there.
It just exists. It's
Probably not. Why would you?
It's a congealed mass on the side of the road, really, in terms of consumable content. It's just kind of there, drying up in the sun.
Yeah, sort of like when you look at a dead badger by the side of the road. You look at it and you think, well, I wouldn't eat it, but at least it's not trying to sell me NordVPN. Yeah, so how are you, Damien?
I am just having the best time, as well, you know. And yourself?
Great. So obviously we've not had a podcast for a while. I was looking forward to doing this podcast because I've moved and you should have moved to a job that you hate, and you should have just been on holiday to Germany to visit a friend, but that hasn't happened for you. Please tell us, Damien. Well, I don't know if you want to talk about I don't know if you want to talk about your dad's dog dying, but I meant more about your critical lack of funds.
Yeah. Well, so I was supposed to go to Germany. Obviously, that was cancelled the first day when I got some tragic news from my father, and I had to come back to go look after him, which obviously bad news, heartbreaking, but it would have been easy to handle in terms of the logistics of moving around, but I had a little bit of trouble a few days prior to my departure. I was supposed to fly out on Monday. The Friday before was my last day at my job. It's also the payday as well. That morning when I got up, first thing I do is I always check my bank, see what's in there, and then I'll pay my bills from there.
Now, if you just stop there, when you mentioned this to me and you were talking about it's my last day and I get my paycheck, you can see where my mind went immediately, right?
No, tell me more.
But it isn't that.
No.
I thought your work was going to fuck you over, is what you were saying.
Yeah. Well, they fucked me over the month before. They were relatively decent this time because they know that I'm watching them like a hawk. In fact, I think everyone on staff was watching like a hawk because they had this fucking stupid idea to completely revamp the payroll system. Well, normally what we used to do was we just have a paper sign-in sheet in the prep kitchen. Everyone comes in and they write their hours, and then whoever's managing, sous chef, otherwise, will take this and input it onto the system. So everyone's, just writing it down. It's very simple, but they wanted to update for the technology age, and they went with a new payroll system called Rota Ready. Now it's just marvelous. It just does everything. So what they wanted to do, rather than having a clock-in machine, Rota Ready is an online service, we use it as an app. So they had everyone download this shit, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to use your phone to clock in and out at the beginning end of your shift and what have you. And it had a lot of
Great.
Now, it's offensive for a lot of reasons, most notably because it obviously doesn't keep track of your hours very well. But we were all confused and irritated when this all changed. You're right over there.
Yeah, sorry, I was just getting my coffee. Go on.
So we're all annoyed that it's
Could you just hear this clutter, like, motherfuck?
It's
that.
like
Yeah,
they've kind of wriggled free. You might have to tie them up again. So
I might have to kill one
because I'm getting hungry.
To quell the others.
Teach them a lesson. It's a power move. If I wasn't in control already, I am now. Yep.
I just kill him for his tongue. The rest I throw away. And just let it rot on the prairie.
Yeah.
So continue.
So yes, people to get on with it. I think due in part because it's not like a centralized system, so people don't really remember to clock in and out because it's on your phone, which is so ubiquitous to your personal life. People didn't get. It was hard to get into the habit of just clocking in and out. So people would subsequently lose hours, and they're also quite frustrated that they took a system that was working and threw it to the wind. The other problem with that was also the only way it can sign you in is one, you need a Wi-Fi connection, which in the basement is fucking shite. So you press the relevant buttons or what have you, and you had no way of knowing if it actually recorded what you were trying to tell it at all. The other thing that I found incredibly offensive was the only way you can clock in and out on your phone, because you think you would just do it on your days off and just rake in a couple of hours there, but no, it needs to geolocate you to make sure you're in the building, and then it will allow you to do it. And it's like, well, are you fucking for real? I mean, I don't like having those things on my phone to begin with, but now work's telling me I have to have that at all. If you are,
but it's also like the next step in this is having like a satellite that can detect your thermal signature. I mean, this is like getting a laser to crack open a nut. I mean, people have managed to clock in since the beginning of the idea of clocking in.
Yeah, I know. And
you don't need geolocation. What the fuck? Anyway, sorry, yeah.
No.
And anyway, here, mate, I'm not going into work today. Take my phone.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure.
Surely.
Yeah, and it hasn't happened there, but I was speaking to one of the guys who'd suffered this kind of system before, and he said, yeah, we had a little mafia thing going, and you take the day off, but we, just give us the phone, and or whatever it was, and we'll do it for you, and then you'll still get your money. So
yeah,
but it turned out in the first few weeks that no one was getting on with this fucking system. So what they did was they wanted to bolster this system by having a sign-in sheet on the wall. So we, on top of having to.
I'm laughing.
Do I need to call?
But it turned into a cough. Oh,
call for an ambulance, perhaps.
Oh my god! Of course it did. Of course it did.
So yeah, everyone got.
I mean, God, no one could ever sign somebody else's name.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of confusion about how to kind of record your hours, because it was now divided between two systems. One half of it was the old system, which worked perfectly fine, but some people were like torn between the two. So if they did it digitally, they didn't do it on paper, but they had to do both in order to accurately record their hours. So that first month when they introduced it, everyone lost a shitload of money, and that I told you. Was a 5-week month, because it was a monthly monthly pay, and I only got paid for 4 weeks of it. So they managed to skim a good 50 hours off it, and all the investigation.
Did you ever get that back?
No, not at all. All the investigation, they had an answer.
What the fuck, Damien? I'm telling you, Damien, you got to go to the Citizens Advice Bureau.
Yes, I know.
They're there, Advice Bureau.
Yeah,
you got to get that money back, dude.
Yeah, I will do. I'm still.
It's like people online make jokes about like, yes, if anything happened to my dog, I would become John Wick. If you underpaid me fucking an hour, I'd become John Wick.
I know, but what they have in their favour is that I've been so disgusted and appalled and filled with fucking putrefying rage for these shitheads. As soon as I'm done with my shift, I get out of there as soon as possible. I don't really want to give them any time of day outside of my working hours. And it's not a great excuse, of course, because they're getting away with murder, but I just don't have the energy to keep fucking letting this bleed into my personal time. It's quite a hit.
But it's a week of work that you did for free.
I know. I'm still kind of going through it.
Damien, you can't let that go.
I know. But so far, I keep talking to people. Some people are on my side and they're like looking into it. But yeah, it's just not going anywhere. And I will, as you say, citizens' advice. It's just, at that point, I've been so keen to kind of finish and like go on holiday and kind of forget about things for a while. Kind of take stock was the idea, and then come back and deal with it all. But it's all been a bit of a shit show and not as replenishing as I would have liked. But yeah, no. So that wasn't. So it was payday that Friday, and it wasn't them that had been fucking me around as you initially thought. No, it turns out that as I was going through my statements, I saw little bits here and there, and I'd seen them like a couple of weeks before. Payments to Uber and Uber Eats like £5 a pop every time. It's like
just occasional small payments.
Yeah, occasional small payments. And first time I saw it, it's like, well, that might have been me. I'm not totally sure. Even though I use like Uber.
You would remember Uber Eats, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
Sorry.
I just thought I'd kind of leave it.
Oh, would really?
Yeah. I use it maybe like 3 times a year, so I knew full well it wasn't me, but it was such a equivalent amount. I thought I'd just watch it for the time being and then see what happens. But no, this Friday I saw it, and I saw a lot more. The previous day, there were £40 worth of charges in taxis alone. I thought, all right, fine. I go through, calculate it all, and it starting from exactly the month before to £174.59 had been siphoned from my account through this. Now, if I use Uber, I do it through PayPal, so it will come up as PayPal on my statement. So I know full well it's not me. So I speak to my bank.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, okay,
right.
This isn't me. I can tell you that. I have recorded every single one that's not me. I'm here to dispute all of it. I want my money back. And it's like, okay. And after 40 minutes
You say like that as well, like, I want money back.
Money back! And they're like, sorry, sir? It's like, money back!
I want my money back. And then when you finished with back, did your bottom lip hit your nose and send spittle all over the foam tiles?
Not only that, but I would print my buttocks at the same time.
Possibly in Seven Sisters. What? You were there what?
Yeah. So...
Yeah. What did you say? You were throwing craps at the same time?
Sorry, what? Who's a what now?
What?
I don't know.
So you were... Yeah, so go on then. So you had this altercation at the bank.
Yes. Well, I did it all over the phone while I was at work. It was my last day, so I already decided that I wasn't going to do any work.
Of course, while you were at work.
Yeah, so I spent 2 hours on the phone doing fuck all, sat in the stairwell, just stressing. And they said they couldn't lodge this dispute properly until I spoke to Uber. Once I speak to them and lodge a dispute with them, the bank would see it and then they can take it further. So, all right, fine. Thank you for not being helpful whatsoever. Bye. Speak to Uber, and again, speaking to people that just aren't really listening. So like, I have all of these charges. I've recorded them all. I can send you everything right now in writing, whatever you need. And they had to go through it one by one. So, well, I could have just, all right, fine. Time consuming, another 40 minutes listing these things one by one. It's like, oh, it's strange, but yeah, we can see they're all paid with your card. It's like, well, I knew that to begin with, but thank you for clarifying that. So, what can you tell me about this? Because it's not me. It's like, okay, well, we can see that your card is linked to another account. It's like, well, that shouldn't be the case at all. I've never done that. It's like, what can you tell me?
So that's when it becomes fraud, then.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, go on.
And it's like, well, you have to refund this money because of such and such a reason. And they had they came back with, well, they've used your card, so we can give you like the name and like the locations of these charges if that would help. And it's like, okay. They gave me the name, of course, and the location, and it turns out it was my ex-girlfriend. And they gave me the name. It's like,
sausage one?
The sausage one, yes. Yeah. The just barely not a child anymore.
Don't say that, Damien.
Well, it's the truth. She was young.
When Damien says that, he means she was in her 20s. Yeah, but Damien, we live in an age of paedophiles everywhere. Paedophiles everywhere, Damien.
Yes.
Paedophiles everywhere.
Yes, not a 12-year-old. No, 20 on the nose, but yeah. There's obviously quite an age gap. And then when I discovered that...
I'm George Costanza, and you are Jerry Seinfeld. And I'm like, Jerry.
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
So, yeah, I mean, at this point, when I disputed with the bank, I had to immediately, cancel the card or what have you. And, yeah, which was great. Obviously, 2 days later, I'd be flying out to Germany, and then now I had to go on holiday without any fucking money or without any access to it. So yeah, very. I had to borrow money, I think, because by the time I was finished with work, all the banks were closed, so I couldn't go to a branch and get any cash out. So that was fucking fun, and having to coordinate as well. My taxi to the airport as well. I remember I was kind of panicking how I do that, and I remember that. Oh, okay, so if I go into PayPal, I'll cancel the card, but it's still linked to the current account, so I can still do that, just barely. But what do I do about the airport? Will I need any money while I'm there? I was like, it's all right.
Yes, I just to interject here, I know exactly what you mean because I basically was in the position of only having British debit cards, British bank account for ages after I moved to the US. But when COVID happened, like the whole process of going through residency in this country, like completely ground to a halt, and it took forever to set up. Because I needed to, I don't know, I can't remember, I needed my green card and something else to set up my own bank account. So, and I don't have my new cards because they send them to my mum's address in Britain. They can't send them to America or anything like that. I don't really want to make her send them to me. So forever it'd be like, yeah, I've got all the card details. I've got the number written down and everything. Here they are. And then, like if you ever do that at an airport and they're like, great, okay, so you bought this online. Do you have the card you paid with? And I'd be like, no.
Well, I'm sorry, Sonny Jim. It's prison.
Yeah, so that's why I paid with it earlier.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't be like, here's £250. Great. All right, so that's for that thing that's happening on Thursday, right? Yeah. And then you get there on Thursday and it's like, great, I know you already paid, but just show me that you have £250. I don't want it, but keep it. Just show it to me, though. I've already done this. Anyway.
Yes, indeed.
So it was your ex-girlfriend, which is... yeah, Damien, that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's become a delightful... there's been delightful conversations subsequent to that. So he reached out and told it.
Are you? Oh, so you're still in contact?
No, we weren't. But I actually had to reach out and say, look, car's cancelled, so funds over, but you're going to have to pay this back. You understand? And she told me this thing. This excuse is what happened. The reason she had the card details is because at some point during time we were dating, I will have used Uber or Uber Eats on her phone, and I said I would have put my card details in to pay for it because I'm not quite sure why. Perhaps my phone was dead that evening. I don't know, but I used her phone with my details and obviously saved that. And I'd forgotten about it at the time. It didn't feel like it was a problem because I trusted someone that I was dating. Fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously been sitting on that.
That's your first mistake, Damien. Never trust anyone at any time.
Well, lesson learned. Yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna, not even that. I'm not gonna bother with banks anymore. I'm gonna say everything I earn is just gonna be paper money. It's gonna sit under my bed from now on.
Yeah, I'd even immediately go ahead and buy something with a more real world value, I suppose, and more. What's the word I'm looking for? More
tangible.
Stability. Yeah.
Stability. Okay.
I'm thinking sort of wrestling cards. Something like that. They only go up in price. So.
Yeah. So I was given some excuse that she was ignorant of all of this, and apparently, it's like.
So she thought it was her account, basically.
Well, she was using her account, but my card details were
my money.
Were saved on there. So she, it'll give you a selection of what card or what payment service you want to use, and mine would have been in there, much like.
And she was deliberately choosing yours.
Yeah. She gave me this excuse that there were like 5 cards on the account and they were all overdrawn, and then she was basically going through one by one. And, it finally started to land on mine because it's only started happening within like 26th of April was the first one, so she didn't do it immediately. But yeah, so
Right.
okay, it's just like, well,
So she did this knowingly then. A crime technically was committed here, right?
She cries ignorance, but I don't believe it. One of the first things that happened when we broke up is I came back home from Nottingham, and I got an email from Amazon saying someone was trying to log in, unsuccessfully to your Amazon account in Nottingham, England, and I assumed that was her trying to muscle in there, which of course is another place that all my card details, would be saved. And I so she was unsuccessful.
So
They blocked her and said, "Cool, fine," and don't. If anyone tries to register through that IP address, it's fraudulent. Never allow it, and that's fine. Didn't think anything of it, but when she tells me this, and I remember that, I am not quite so sure it's quite like that. It's fine. I told her that I'll give you like a month to do it, and she's like, "No, realistically, I'll need until the end of summer." It's like, no, it's like it's 170 quid. You've got a month, or it's small claims court. All right.
I thought it was 200.
No. Sorry, I round up, but it was 174 quid. But still, it's kind of nothing. She came badgering back, saying, "It's like, look, I'm a 20-year-old student, but you're a 33-year-old man with a full-time job, so you don't actually, it's not, it shouldn't be so financially troubling for you that this has happened. It's like, it's not a question of that. It doesn't belong to you, and I deserve it back. That's it. End of discussion." And I was explaining that one of the problems with having to cancel my cards was, look, I was on holiday, which is bad enough as it was, but my dad's dog had died, and I had to kind of emergency travel back from Germany. I had to borrow a lot of money, which is very embarrassing. It's also very difficult traveling without access to money. And I was given some bullshit about, I don't care about your sob story, this, that, and the other. Oh well, okay, that's fucking disgusting. I understand. So I'm a student, and
she stole money from you, and then she doesn't care about your sub story.
It's kind of just like, look, I'm moving right now. All my cards are overdrawn. I don't have a job. It's like, what do you want me to do? It's like, get a fucking job. And look, I haven't thrown any. I wasn't aggressive at all. I knew that if I was going to see this money without having to kind of go through the courts, I'd have to be civil about this. So I've taken, these fucking blows from her. Like, okay, sure. But look, I could see what you were spending this money on, and it was all frivolous. They were all taxis, quite frankly. I don't spend that money on Uber in like 2 years. There's always public transport and shit like that. All you have to do is not get takeout and not get taxis everywhere for 1 month, because that's how long it took you to accrue that. So in my mind, if you just cut out some very basic luxuries, you'll have that money in a month's time. But no,
not to sound like an old man, but when I was 20, I wouldn't get takeout. I'd eat horse lasagna. 79p. I knew what was in it. It was fine.
Well,
noodle sandwiches, stuff like that.
Just dry toast. Yeah. Or the favourite, as we well know, is Ritz and salad cream. That was
Yep. Terry's chocolate orange.
But only when they shave it down to 15p a pop, and that's when you buy 10 quid's worth.
It never went down to 15p. It never went down to 15p. It went down to like 20 something, I think.
Well, still, I mean,
15p would have been the gold mine.
So it was like down to 10% of what it normally should be. Yeah, of course. Snap that shit right the fuck up. But yeah, there you go. So that's been very trying.
Well, Damien, I mean, I imagine it has. That's bizarre, I suppose. And did you learn anything, Damien? Like, don't go out with 20-year-olds?
I'd learned that when I broke up with her. I knew I wasn't happy, and that's why I ended it. I did it civilly rather than kind of drag it out. I said, look, this is it. Bye-bye. I never said it to her, but one of the reasons was I was convinced she was too childish. and she's proved that in spades. So
Yes.
So at the moment, I've left it.
As does,
Given it a month. Let's see
Yes.
if I'm crying about it next time we do this. I'm sure I will.
But you've cancelled all the cards she has access to.
Yeah. She has no
right?
access to the money anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, it's all done. I mean, well, I suppose it was all right because first I was panicking when I saw this because when I called the bank, they reminded me that the card that I cancelled was slated to expire this month. So they said, "Well, we sent you a new card," and then the penny dropped that I didn't update my address the last time I moved with my bank, so they will send my card to my old address. And I thought, forgetting that you obviously need to activate it through several steps with the bank, with your details and what have you. You can't just use it straight out of the gate. But I'd forgotten that for a second. I just assumed that someone had picked that up and just thought, "Oh, fuck it, let's see what we can do with this." Because obviously,
Yeah, I know.
because on the debit card you have everything you need to input into a service like Uber, and then just start charging away. You don't need anything, no pins, nothing. So that's initially what I thought. So it was a relief knowing who it was. It's not great having to kind of deal with it, but at least it's not an invisible enemy. And now that I cancelled it, that's it. It's over. There's no more that's going to be stolen. So. Yeah. Just timing. Timing is just a fucking shit show. And having these fucking dialogues with people.
Yeah, and someone stole something from you.
Yeah. No, it's just this time last year I was doing the same thing with my previous landlord when he just decided to spend my deposit because he couldn't make bills.
What?
Sorry?
I said what?
Yeah. So my.
Oh my god.
I think I mentioned this on the podcast before, but yeah, my ex-landlord, because he was having trouble with all of his bills and COVID, because he didn't have a job, he just relied on the hotel his parents left him, relied on the income from that. So since there was no traffic during the lockdowns, he was suffering. So his solution to that was to suspend everyone's deposit in the house that he was renting. And when it came time to leave, he said, "Well, I'll get it back to you in a couple of weeks." Then it was a month. Then it was a couple of months. And it was like, "Well, might be able to pay in installments." I said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, I don't have it at the moment." And it's like, "Well, why not?" Because I've had to use it to pay such and such.
Get it?
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is not your. It was never your money.
Well, did you get that
sorted?
sorted?
I got that back fine. But again, it was one of those things that took like 3.5 months.
Did you take him to
No.
court? No.
I got all the money back and a little bit extra. But when I say a little extra,
from him, just directly
from
him.
Yeah. And when I say a little extra, it was like £12 that he'd overpaid.
Right.
He just rounded it up.
You're nice, Damien, because if you took that to county court, they used to have a mandate where if the person hadn't had the money in a deposit protection scheme, you got an automatic judgment of 3 times the deposit.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So anyone listening in England, I don't know if that's still the case, but when I was there, if you found out your landlord hadn't kept the deposit in a deposit protection scheme, you've got them. And I'll tell you something now, none of them do. They all they all spend it straight away.
Yeah. Well, apparently
they're all scum.
This fucker was.
Might I mention?
And his bum skimming kimono. But the tenancy agreement was something that he'd written up himself in hindsight. So I kind of apparently waived that right to have it in a protection scheme. I was just giving it to him, and that was it for him to hold on at his leisure.
Yeah, that's not true. I've heard that before. It's not true. It has to be.
Oh, really?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you own a house and you're renting one room in it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, when I was speaking to him about it, he actually he came back with some spiel about this contract and how I was leaving at 6 months as opposed to the full year. And according to this, that, and the other, he was actually in a position to demand more money from me if I was to keep pressing the issue. So I wasn't quite sure of my standing, so I kind of backed down. I was a little bit frightened because at that point I needed the money. I only just moved back to London after the lockdowns. It was fucked for cash. All the savings had depleted. But yeah, it's just I just suspect it's another thing. Like it might just be a thing that I have to spend every summer chasing some fucker up about money they've stolen from me. So it looks like it this year. It's my ex. Granted, for a lot smaller amount, but still, it's just a ball ache. Fuck this.
Yeah, I've only ever had one friend sort of steal from me like that. I mean, that I know of. Our friend Dave. Do you remember he stole £60
How did
from
you do
me?
this? No, I don't remember this. It must be a long, long fucking time ago.
He he said, I have a friend who can get you an air rifle. I was like 15.
Oh, okay.
Give me £60. Yeah, do you remember that?
I don't remember this happening, but I remember him saying stuff like that. At one point, it was like I could get hold of a real handgun if you wanted. Okay.
I remember him saying after this had happened, like a long time after this had happened, when it was just like I just wouldn't. What's the point? I suppose. I remember him saying I could get you a gold-plated Desert Eagle for £120.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Oh dear. But yeah, I mean, obviously I shouldn't have trusted him, but not to like belabor this point, not just labor, belabor. His family was so much richer than mine, so much wealthier than mine. I needed that. This is the guy who spent like £1,100 of his dad's money on calling up those porn lines.
Oh God,
He didn't need to fucking steal £60 from me.
Yes, this was before the internet,
Yeah.
back when
It
we
makes
were
makes
kids.
sense when you look back, doesn't it? And his dad was a cop,
Yeah, I know, right?
doesn't it? Because he certainly raised a pig.
You had that one in the chamber. Very nice.
No, I didn't, but I don't know. I'm more angry at myself for not like constantly pestering him, because I did for a while. Like I was like, well, I'm gonna come over to your house. Like, do you have it? Like, I'm passing by, and then school ended, and I didn't see him forever, and I don't know why I didn't ask him. I think if I saw him now, I'd be like, do you have that £60, by the way?
He'd be like, no. Times are tough. I barely make ends
Yeah, I know
meet.
he would. I know he would. But then I just, I don't know. I don't know, would he hit me or something? Maybe, but
Well, if you asked as civil as that, I would hope not, because that's quite an overreaction. But if you,
yeah, but then I'd be like, well, can you sell something? Can your wife sell something? Because you stole from me. You stole £60 from me, so can I have it back, please? Like, should I ask your dad? Should I write it on Facebook? Oh, I'm getting myself angry now. Hang on, where's my
I was
gun?
going to say, where's the tire iron? But a gun's just as good, maybe even better.
Yeah, nice and flat. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of yeah. I guess I would chalk what happened to you up with your girlfriend as, this is a kid being a selfish
Yeah,
shithead.
absolutely. But I just have to let it run its course. Like I say, I gave this person a month, and after that, yeah, small claims. See what she does in that time. It's more than enough fucking time. I think one of the things you claim about as well.
Small claims. You're definitely going to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, if I don't,
But you're not going to take your employer to small claims for 50 hours of lost earnings.
well, once I get practiced with small claims, then yes, I'll take everyone. I'll take the fucking landlord as well. I mean, I'll get this shit done.
Totally. I mean, I think this is probably about as boring as we can make this podcast, basically talking about like minor financial inconveniences on the grand scheme of things. But when I moved, bizarrely, I did not realize this because obviously I don't take care of any of that, but AES, the electricity company that has a monopoly in Indiana, they have a deposit. You have to pay a deposit when you move into somewhere. So they had to give me back my deposit, and they gave me back my deposit, which was, I don't know, not a lot, and then they billed me my the size of the deposit, which is like, I don't know, it was like $250, and then they billed me again a slightly smaller figure, and I couldn't get this resolved at all. I had to call them up. Well, I didn't call them up. Christina called them up, and they were like, "Well, it's because it's on auto pay." And it's like, well, how's this auto pay thing work then after I've cancelled my fucking account because I've moved out of the state? Oh, no idea. What's this other figure even for? No idea. I had to get an investigation done through my bank, and they came back after like weeks and said, "Yeah, no, it's fine. They did nothing wrong." So I had to chase this, and basically, I finally got them to say, "Oh, okay, yeah, we'll send it you back." It never arrived. They said something really ambiguous, like it'll be 10 days from now. So I'm sort of like, well, is that business days? Well, actually, they only said 10 days to send it, not 10 days to receive it, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, even though I've got mail forwarding, they'd sent it to my old address, so I got them to send it again. So now I'm debating. I've got my first one. I've cashed it. It's fine. They've given me my money back, but I'm waiting for a second one. I'm debating whether to put them through that, to cash it in, and then for them to be like, "Why have you done that?" And me to go, "Oh, sorry, it was a clerical error. Hang on, let me put you through to my I don't give a fucking shit department." I don't know. Why does it have to be this fucking complicated to pay for electricity? Why do I need a deposit even? But again, I'm boring myself now. So, what else has been going on?
A lot of stuff. At least, well, I don't call it work anymore because it's yeah. I have
Because it's not work. You're talking about masturbation.
Absolutely, it's a joy.
Filling that guitar is something you chose to do, Damien. There is no benefit to it whatsoever, other than your own feeling of pride.
Yes. I'm not as young as I used to be, so it seems to dry up before I can replenish it. So I'm not making much progress. I've got about a quarter of the way through, and it's just congealing.
It's like a curve on a graph, like it's diminishing returns.
Yeah, I should probably let myself replenish a bit more, but God damn it if I don't want to keep those numbers up, man.
Like eventually it's going to get to the point where, okay, well, I only have to have 2 more wanks to fill this thing, and then after that it's like 2 more wanks, and then it's still 2 more wanks. Just because by the end it's just like...
My dick's dropped off.
It's just like a mouse sneezing.
I've just shit like my cock off. I'm completely round now in the groin. Just a ball sack, that's it.
Now, you haven't shit it off. You've like... sort of depreciated the texture of the inside of the urethra, sort of like what we in the profession call stripping it. And just slowly but surely your cum becomes more and more blood until it's nothing but blood.
I might have to write a new clause into this thing where I can use blood as well. Because maybe even piss.
That's totally cheating.
I don't know, but I'm just...
It's way easier for people to bleed than cum.
But... It has to be dick blood. It has to be from the bladder. So I've been putting a lot of iron filings.
I want to set up a medical school now.
Go on.
Oh yes, it's got the texture of iron filings, but also it's sort of like if you were to do a mold, like a clay mold of the inside of your dick, it would come out looking like the trunk of a palm tree, like very jagged.
So the problem is it's actually just getting caught on those ridges, all that jizz. That's why it's not coming out. Soon if I keep...
Oh, so you're saying that you could eventually use the jizz like spacking on a wall where you use it to fill in the cracks.
Well, if it keeps rotting like this, I imagine there's going to come a point where I'll ejaculate out of other various holes that I've kind of sheared in my penis. So when the money shot comes, it's almost like a frag grenade, in all directions.
Right. Like straight out of the dick, or you mean like your dick is also eviscerated?
Oh, absolutely eviscerated.
Right.
It's been like that for years now.
Sort of like, yeah, sort of like a large, tall flower, like falling apart. Yeah. I think that as well as a sort of medical motto being "do no harm," a medical motto should also be "it's easier to come than bleed." No, wrong way around. It's easier to bleed than come. It's easier to get people to bleed than
It should
come.
also be like a company mantra as well. So every time you're at the clinic, they give you your paperwork, they hand it over. It's easier to bleed than come. Every time you hand in,
Yeah, or
they call you into the office through a tannoy.
which is more
It's
menacing
an
as
automated
the
message.
yeah.
All right, ticket holder number.
Yeah.
20.
It's easier to bleed. It's easier to bleed than come. Which is more menacing, do you think, for a hospital's sort of byline? Everyone bleeds, or they all bleed?
They all bleed.
They all bleed.
Because that way it sounds like they're inflicting it on anyone that walks in there. That's the staff talking amongst themselves. They all bleed.
That's the hospital. Yes, we talk about your dick a lot on this show.
I'm terribly sorry. But it's obviously, a topic of great intrigue. I apologise. I don't always bring it up, do I?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's what happens
I
naturally.
mean, it's definitely a place we both know to go. Yeah.
It's okay, we can say that. It's Pride Month.
Well,
This will be our rainbow
is it?
episode.
That's okay.
It's in the UK. I don't know whether it's in the States.
Intolerance Month.
Well, I don't know what that means. A month to be intolerant, or
Wait, no, it's Pride Month and Jubilee. So you're saying that more than one queen had a blah 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 blah.
very nice.
Yeah. Did you do anything for Jubilee, Damien? Because I think I read about it the other day. Like, Jubilee goes off without assassination or ceremonial death. So that's all I was sort of interested in. I did see that someone in a bar had set up some Jubilee decorations, one of which included some bunting of Prince Andrew's face with the word nonce over it. So that made me proud to be British.
Yeah, I'd have liked to have seen that. There should have been more of that.
Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it actually did. Like, good. I'm glad that people aren't letting that go.
Yeah, all I would see was
Nonce.
I would see reported like the concerts that they had, playing outside Buckingham Palace and what have you. But now you say that, there should have been like an effigy burning. Everyone comes out with their little Prince Andrews. Andy.
I did see something actually thinking about that where didn't he get COVID?
I don't
So
know.
he couldn't be part of it.
Is that what they were saying?
He got. That's what they were saying, and then there was like a Sky News reporter saying, of course, if he did get COVID, then technically, if he's been diagnosed, he would have a certificate. So will we see that certificate? And firstly, I thought, like, that's amazing that if you get COVID, you get a certificate, right?
Like it's an achievement. Little gold leaf stamp
secondly,
on
like,
it.
where's that going to go? The logic of that leads to, where's your certificate? Oh, I didn't actually have one. Well, why did you lie? Because I'm ashamed. I mean,
Yeah, what is it?
whether he lied about having COVID or not is nothing.
Yeah, there's obviously a very good reason he was never
That's what I'm
going
trying to
fucking
say.
participate. But any excuse to fucking
Yeah.
jump on his neck, I
Yeah.
suppose. But I would, no, there's still plenty
I
of
mean,
material. I don't think you need to worry about, blaming some COVID lie regarding his no-show.
Do you think this is like a certain level of hell is you're just stuck for eternity in a writing room with like a demon like showing you bits of the news and going, write a Family Guy episode about that. Oh, fucking hell.
I'd say like a certain
Yeah.
ring of hell would just be doing this, but never being able to hit the lights off button. Just doing this forever and ever and ever.
But then would it just become like a sort of like two-way sort of podcast of Truman Show where you can just like occasionally hear us like sort of simultaneously or not piss, like cooking and talking to people and just like we're just carrying on with our lives, and yes, we can hear each other all the time, and that's annoying. But
Well, that'd be fine. But no, what I'm thinking is it's just like we're driven by some unseen force to always be talking, always be sat in these seats. And yeah,
oh,
there's no freedom whatsoever. Just this forever.
so you're saying that the rooms that we're occupying right now would slowly fill up with shit and jizz?
Well, it's hell. So I mean, bodily functions. Who's to say if they still exist there? No, it's just an eternity of just talking bullshit. I mean, so far I've had a lifetime of talking bullshit. I don't see what there isn't really a difference on paper.
Are you saying that we're in hell?
For 2 hours, I definitely am.
The audience. Oh, by the way, should I press? Did we press record? No, I'm joking.
Oh, so the nightmare begins.
Should we? Should we? Oh God, should we do the actual subject now, which was something Frasier something?
Okay, we'll give it a bash, and then I'll go to bed.
Well, you can give it a bash on your own then. Oh. I don't understand why it's bash the bishop when it when it surely should be crank the cardinal or pop the pope.
Oh dear, oh dear.
It's the sequel everyone's talking about. Dolph Lundgren is Pop the Pope. There's a TV show called Frasier.
Oh, tell me more. I'm intrigued.
So in the very first episode of Frasier, when Frasier's dad is coming to live with Frasier because he is now disabled in the legs, Niles, Frasier's younger, more handsome, and certainly much more ethical and professional a psychiatrist brother, Niles, says something about also Eddie's coming too. And Frasier says, "Oh no, not Eddie." And Frasier's dad's like, "Yeah, Eddie's coming too. Of course Eddie's coming. What did you think?" And Frasier says, "Eddie's insane." And obviously Eddie turns out to be a little terrier dog. And like a really well-behaved one as well. I don't know why he would think it's insane. It completely overblows it. But having just started Frasier again, because this is purgatory, I sort of thought to myself, well, what could Eddie be? If I'd never seen this before, what in my mind would Eddie be?
Okay, well, starting off, let's say Brundle Eddie. It's just a Jack Russell, but with Jeff Goldblum's head in place of a dog's head.
Right. Okay, like in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, we got another teleportation accident. It's not quite like it's not as subtle as The Fly, but it's just really goof. It's like the original. It's just a head.
Yeah, where the heads, just the heads. Like, it's not like Jeff Goldblum's like, "I'm faster, I can smell better, I love licking my own balls." It's just the heads. Right. So is there a human with Eddie's head?
Well, that's it. We've discussed which one is Eddie, because it can either be the terrier with Jeff
Right.
Goldblum's head, or it's Jeff Goldblum with a Jack Russell's head. Eddie and Frasier's terrified
Does Jeff...
because all these the human Eddie, for lack of a better word, is going to do is just kind of lie out Jurassic Park style beefcake shot on the couch, just with letting it all hang out. And he just doesn't need that. It's a suede couch.
So,
that sweat's going to get into the
well,
fibers,
obviously,
man.
we need to make the decision which one is Eddie, and also does the other one play any role, as the anti-Eddie. So, but before we do that, then does either of these beings possess the ability to speak or think like a man, or are they both dogs, or
All right.
what?
I would say the terrier with Jeff Goldblum's head would be the one that can talk.
But you could do a twist, and the terrier with Jeff Goldblum's head can only go bark, bark. And the man with
Jeff
Eddie's
Goldblum's
head.
audible
Not
chocolate.
just the man, the fucking like olive-skinned Adonis, because he's always like naked and oiled. Maybe a loincloth. This is a PG show, but the terrier's talking. No, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if we have the alternate Eddie, because I think it'd be ridiculous to make that a part of the show because it's a dog. It's not going to be able to talk, even though it does have opposable thumbs now. No, I just think the bathroom they had by the front door.
Wait! You're calling that one Eddie? The Eddie
No, the
one
alternate
is
Eddie. I don't know.
The body with Goldblum's head.
Yeah, that's Eddie, right? I've just called the other one the alternate Eddie.
Okay.
Unless you've got any ideas.
But then again, maybe we should just Eddie body and Eddie head.
All right, Eddie Head has no place in this show because he doesn't talk, even though he has thumbs. All right, so the only thing
and honestly, I have a dog, and basically all Eddie would do if he had thumbs would be jacket.
Well, it works in Jeff Goldblum's flavor, and now he can lick his own balls. So he's obviously had to sacrifice, a great personal freedom there, but it's made up for in other ways. I imagine that he would like to suck his own dick.
But so Jeff Goldblum could jump on. So
You're having a hard time with
could
this.
jump up onto the lap of Eddie Head, and is that what you're saying? Eddie Body could jump up on Eddie Head and suck
No, I just meant his own doggy dick, actually. But
Eddie Head's human dick.
Why is that more disgusting in my mind? It shouldn't be.
It isn't. They're both disgusting.
Surely sucking a dog's dick would be more disgusting. Why did I not think that was more disgusting? Oh, we're speaking to the therapist about this one.
What would you say? I was talking about dog dicks again.
And I didn't think it was so bad to suck a dog's dick.
I mean,
Well, they have to be fixed, of course.
that's not what.
Are you laughing,
dear.
or is that just the limit for you? Are you calling the authorities now?
No, this is nowhere near as bad as what you used to be like. You used to be like every opportunity used to mention Woody's head coming out of a dog's anus. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. Sprouting, I believe, was the word.
That lost me so much sponsorship, Damien.
Glad I can have such an impact on your income. This makes me feel powerful.
Yeah.
So what are we doing with these two? With anybody in their head?
With our lives. So you said that Eddie Head has no part in the show at all, like not even as a guest or anything.
Well, maybe what I'm thinking is that he just
Couldn't he be in the cafe, in the coffee shop? That's obviously not Starbucks. Like just as a background actor sometimes.
I think he should be in the background of at least one shot per episode, always staring Frasier down, but while polishing a knife or something. like right,
but like really in the
rinsing
background,
his
and
fucking
Frasier never
fist up.
notices.
Oh yeah, no, it's like an Easter egg. You have to kind of be, you have to be sharp. You know.
Yeah, it's like a South Park alien.
Yeah. Give them a reason to rewatch. If Frasier's sex pestery wasn't enough.
Yeah, and there's like some that are so well hidden. It's like, oh, we thought that every episode only had one, but years later, fans are discovering that some episodes do have two. You know, incidences of Eddie. It's like G-Man in Half-Life, like just there watching. Possibly in a suit, possibly holding a briefcase.
Yes, okay. So the season finale is he approaches talks directly into the camera about needing Frasier in alternate universes. His work is not done. He's essentially dead to us now, but soon he will be resuscitated. And that's exactly what we're greeted with the first scene of the Frasier reboot that's coming.
I don't know, like Frasier the show is sometimes a little bit confusing in that the writers and the creators are clearly aware that Frasier is pompous and arrogant and has these ideas well above his station on how important and helpful he is. But then they also have like people sucking his dick all the time. Like everyone he meets is like, "Oh, I know you. I love your radio show." Like he doesn't, everyone. Like he could meet famous current celebrities such as Rodney Dangerfield, and Rodney Dangerfield would be like, "Oh, I know you. I love your show," even though it only fucking plays in Seattle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's like this confusing bit where it's like everything's so like, oh god, he's so into himself, but then like this universe is sort of into him. So it should be like Eddie Head approaches him. And it's like, "We've been observing you for a long time, and we are incredibly impressed with you and your amazing intellect," and all this shit. And like they're going to install him as king, and he says he's not interested, but he's talking about the harem a lot.
Indeed, they've observed his work, and he has a knack for wriggling out of any kind of sexual-related trouble. I'm still aghast that he got away with having sex on that that stage of their children's production, and they unmasked him, live, dressed as a baby. I mean, that would destroy someone's career, and that's like what, season 8 or something like that. He's still on the radio for like 3 more years. You'd never be able to go out in public again.
Or the time when he had sex live on air with his boss in the radio booth.
Yes, there's a little too much going on here. Yeah, they have crawled entirely up his ass. They seem to just give him a pass for everything. It is no bueno. Perhaps Eddie Head is the one man in this universe that won't tolerate it. Just for the 11 year run, he's slowly circling Frasier. And so, like season 11, all of the appearances in the beginning are like very far away and what have you. But by season 11, every time they open, there's like a hallway
he's slowly
shot.
getting closer.
Every time they open a door, he's just like miraculously behind it, and they just close it immediately. Nope, but he's always there. Not brandishing a weapon, just staring him down. He looks straight into his soul, trying to break his will before he eviscerates him.
Yeah, okay. So that's what's going on with Eddie Head. Eddie Body, then he speaks English.
He can do.
But he doesn't often. He's a very quiet sort.
He can speak. He can speak. He can speak English, but no one recognizes it as speech. So he'll just be protesting everything that's going on. He's always the voice of reason. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this. Frasier, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Get dressed. Put that away. But no one can hear him. To them, it's just bucks. And every now and again, you get like a POV shot. And anybody looks the same. It's still Jeff Goldblum's head, but all they hear is bark, 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 bark.
So he sort of takes the role on of me watching Frasier. Could be a drinking game for myself where I'm absent-mindedly watching Frasier and shouting my own catchphrase, "What are you doing, Frasier? What are you doing, Frasier?"
Oh my!
Frasier, what are you doing?
Oh my God, Frasier! Take that out of your mouth this instant.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Frasier,
So do they perceive him as bark, 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 bark? They perceive it as bark, 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 and we set that up by having like some POV shots where that's clearly what's coming out of his mouth. But most of the time, we can hear what Jeff Goldblum's head, Eddie Body, is actually saying. Like he's saying, "No, no, you need to see your son more. You're a terrible parent, Frasier." He's saying stuff like that all the time.
Absolutely, yeah. No, he's not tolerating any of it, and I reckon.
Yeah,
there's a potential for a catchphrase here as well. We're working at some point in every other episode with some of those like shenanigans, and that catchphrase will be something along the lines of, "Frasier, I bet you wish you packed a spare pair of pants."
I like that, but I sort of think it should be more vicious.
Where's your underwear now?
If you were saying that like Jeff Goldblum cannot sees through all of this bullshit and really cannot stand Frasier, which makes a lot of sense if he's Martin's dog.
Yeah.
Then surely it should be like you should be ashamed of yourself or something like that.
Slowly goes up to him, humps his leg a little bit. He gets batted off, and he just looks up at him and just says, "You're shit." Looks at the camera, then we get like a Merry Medley's like caveat. No, it's got to be more savage than that, but
yeah.
What else can we have? I have a gun, Frasier.
You are the worst human being I've ever met.
I know where the bodies are buried.
Frasier, kill yourself.
Like anytime there's a scene in Frasier's bedroom, Eddie's like on the pillow perched next to him, just whispering that into his ear. Kill yourself. No one loves you. You have no value. They won't notice you're gone. It's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and then we get the Frasier POV is just...
just Jeff Goldblum licking his face. Equally nightmarish.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, that's better than any idea I had. He's insane. I was going to say you could completely redo the dog psychiatrist, dog psychic, or just psychic. No, not dog psychic. Just Daphne psychic episodes with Vincent Price. He was definitely alive back then when they were making those.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's also the Eddie, the episode where Eddie makes some puppies. That's a fresh hell right there.
And with a dog with Christopher Walken's head.
Explain your logic. I like Christopher Walken, but why? Why? What would the value be to the show? I can see Jeff Goldblum, but not Walken, man. He's just
a famous actor at the time who would be able-bodied enough to do it and would do it if you asked him.
Well, there was a litter of puppies, so you could have different heads for each one. I think Werner Herzog would be a good one as well.
Oh, so like one could be DeVito, one could be Jeremy Irons. Stuff like that.
It's really creepy guys.
All those old favourites.
They're all just going to stare at Frasier during his slumber. There's an episode where
they all also hate Frasier.
Where they unite. And you just they combine their strength to drag him out to the nearest river and drown him. They all conspire against him. Again, all the humans can't understand why. They, as vocal as they are with their protestations and with their scheming as well, they don't bury the lead. They're quite vocal on this idea that they are going to murder Frasier.
Yes, they come to a unanimous decision on that very quickly.
It's just a look. Everyone just nods. Their tails start wagging.
Yeah, really, the whole, the reason the show's called Frasier is he's the antagonist. It's mostly focused on the dogs, to be honest. It's mostly told from their perspective, a bit like Watership Down, where the whole story is them, sort of trying to come to an understanding of, this thing is terrible, but we're just so much smaller than him, and he controls us, and we just cannot do anything. And at some point, they become aware of Eddie Head, and he's he's like their Jesus Christ that they can see sort of slowly emerging.
The leader of their resistance. Because at first,
more than that, though, he is, he's like a, he's like a god to them.
Does he have any superpowers?
I mean, he would be. He's got a dog's head on a man's body. I mean, that's a superpower. He's basically as good as a human being, but he can smell really well and hear really well.
Okay.
And he's got a really long tongue. There's no disadvantages.
Unless we forget opposable thumbs, which is a really big help for everything they've got planned. So what, do they forsake Eddie Body then? Or they're their own separate units? So Eddie Body's still back at back at Frasier House. We've been following these dogs, which, lest we forget, they gave the dogs up. So you have to have like a two-parter where they have a jailbreak, then find their way to Eddie Body.
Right. So Eddie Body is obviously their mum, right, or dad rather. Eddie.
No, let's
so
throw a gender
they've been
bender in there as well.
separated.
Jeff Goldblum is a woman.
Right. Yeah.
A lady dog.
Christopher Walken is the dad. And
them some weird looking kids.
You see the value of it now?
I do.
You were like, well, that doesn't belong.
Especially when
All
we
right,
have
then.
like
No, completely. Yeah.
especially when we have the love scene where the babies are made. Oof. Just rampant humping. But it's just Christopher Walken resting his chin on those delightful curls. It's shot artfully, but they don't do anything other than doggy style, naturally. There's only so many ways you can shoot that. Why we need 12 minutes of this footage, I don't know. You would have thought some of it would have been lost in the edit, but damn it if it wasn't too good to give up.
It's one of those annoying edit situations where it only works if it's long and unbroken.
Oh, so now it's like, one continuous shot. And
Yes.
You're walking around the room.
doing like pans and stuff. Yeah.
But the dogs don't move. They're down to business. They're getting that shit done, and nothing's going to get in their way.
So eventually then so is it like Toy Story 2? That classic where
Yeah, all right, explain this logic to me.
the puppies have to find their way home. And they also have to do it without humans seeing them.
Well, is this in this universe? Do these dogs with these human heads, are they considered abominations, or are they just commonplace? I mean, I guess if they have to,
Yes.
if they have to be unseen, then I guess they are freaks of nature.
Well, no, no, because if they were normal-looking puppies, then people would be like, "Oh my god, there's just some puppies walking around. I better
Snap
call
those
someone
up,
or pick
yeah.
them up or something." So I better snap those up.
So we get a montage of people looking at this pack of human-headed dogs, just going, ugh. Everyone just leaves them be because they're so fucking disgusting.
No, they all stand on each other's shoulders and wear a big coat. And you just got like one tiny Jeremy Irons head on top.
And weirdly enough,
It's
there
like-
are these tiny
like-
paws coming out the sleeves. It makes no sense.
Like, see, no, what it is it's like a 6-foot pencil man, and coming out the sleeves are just heads, other dog heads. You know,
How
but they're
many
not dog
fucking
heads.
puppies did anybody have? Is it like 40 now? So you just got this trench coat just sprouting with all these
It would have to
freak
be.
dogs.
I mean, you, if there were that many dogs, you'd think that they could, you know, or puppies, you think they could form a sort of puppy king and like join their tails and become like a Katamari ball, where they just sort of roll through town, getting bigger and bigger.
I better say, do they like reproduce through like mitosis or something? So every other episode, you just have this like 2-minute segment where one of the puppies agonizingly just splits into two.
And then by the end of the season, like Seattle is overshadowed by this giant ball of puppies with human heads.
Every time it cuts to the apartment in Frasier, you can see it on the horizon. Depending on what neighborhood, you can hear it yapping.
You have like really, really cinematic shots of Martin stood on the balcony and looking at it like, soon, like sipping on a Valentine. Like,
Counting down the days.
Always knew it would end like this. Yeah.
Ah, nice. I like this. This is the reboot that I want. Many years have passed, so that fucking dog ball
Yeah.
should be massive by now. It should be visible from space.
Yeah. It's the greatest threat to humanity in all of history. Again, we've got, you know, and then we could have the twist where it's actually Tim Allen who saves the day.
I was about to say that. The greatest threat since an ever-expanding Tim Allen. They have to launch the puppy ball into space as well. It will come back to plague mankind once again, even stronger, but that will be in 1,000 years' time. It's someone else's problem.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll all be dead. It's fine.
But because Seattle loves Frasier so much, you know, they've endeavored to keep him alive as long as possible. So they will have like cybernetically augmented him. So come 1,000 years' time, when you know the Eddie Ball returns, he gets it's up to him to take it upon himself to defend the Earth. So now we've got what was it now? You've got Frasier as a robot in the place of Bruce Willis in Armageddon. And they have to blow up the puppy ball. So we've got avenues for movies
so like
now.
Frasier lands on the puppy ball and starts to like drill into it. And there's just like all this puppy flesh flying everywhere.
And everywhere you go, you hear Jeremy Irons chiding him. I still know where the bar.
Your teeth. Brush your teeth.
But his teeth are metal now. Stainless steel. They don't rust. Dental hygiene is no longer an issue.
Well, he could still get like seaweed in them and such.
Why seaweed? So right, okay. He doesn't eat traditional food.
That gets stuck in your teeth, that's why. It's 1,000 years in the future, Damien. Of course he's eating seaweed.
Yeah, but so he's not eating traditional like biological food for biological beings now. So he has to. So when he's not defending the Earth from these alien dogs,
Seaweed is a food for biological beings.
No.
What are you talking about?
he's on the bottom of the ocean trawling it. He dislocates his bottom jaw and it expands through like a big kind of fishing net. He just sifts through the ocean. Mostly plankton is what Frasier feeds off now.
Hi. I'm Frasier, and I'm interested in precious metals. Yeah, okay, so Frasier digs into Puppy Ball, and what, he saves the day?
What, just digs into it? No explosives, he just digs into it and makes a nest.
And then the film ends there.
Well, he's tired of his life
Makes
on
a
Earth.
nest.
He's become an ocean trawler, hasn't he? You know, he's there. They're using him as a fishing barge now. he's trying to throw off the chains of humanity's oppression as well. So he adopts this role. He says that he's going to kind of save humanity, launch him into space and what have you, but he uses the Eddie ball as a nesting ground. Potentially a death nest. I don't know. I don't know if he has the capacity for solar
but you don't mean a nest to like... Yeah, so he doesn't like, lay eggs or anything in the puppy ball.
He's a robot. That's ridiculous, man. Perhaps
Right, okay. Good, just checking.
Perhaps he's taking some genetic samples of the rest of the crane family. He wants to begin his experiments reanimating them. But all he's got to work with now as sort of surrogates for this genetic material are the puppy dogs that he can carve off the walls. Because he's done some quality
Puppy
digging.
dogs with celebrities' heads.
So the result of his experiments are one of these puppy dogs, admittedly looking the same. So it's like Christopher Walken, but when Christopher Walken opens his mouth, Niles' face sprouts out. Like like Alien, they have the additional teeth on the tongue. It's like that. Niles just pops out on a stalk and does the eating.
So Niles doesn't get his own body then. He's just essentially like a boil on the end of a tongue.
Yeah, exactly. He exists in Christopher Walken's mouth, who exists on a dog.
Right.
Who exists in
But if there
space.
are millions and millions of these Eddies, of these Eddie puppies, are there not millions and millions of Christopher Walken's heads on these puppies?
Of course, yeah. But obviously he has to
Or
cherry...
are they all different?
No, I would say like they're uniform. But with Frasier's introduction into the body of this space Katamari puppy ball, he's begun offering some genetic diversity. So then this is when we start seeing, start seeing a little bit more diversity, strange and new things. If it wasn't strange enough with Niles' head, I don't know what else would be.
Oh, I see.
Huh?
I see. Maybe you could get like a twin variant where Christopher Walken opens his head and out comes two Niles' heads.
Or it's Island Niles, It's just...
Because he's wearing a hat, yeah.
No, he's just talking with a Rastafarian accent, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always like a Niles from a different episode. So then the Christopher Walkens would be like, you'd have like Fatboy Slim music video Christopher Walkens and Deer Hunter Christopher Walkens. Walkeners. Who else would we have? Well, we'd have Sylvester Stallone. We'd have Arnold. We'd have. I guess we can't have Tim Allen because he's gonna play a part in this. I guess as the Great Attractor.
Because at this point, when we left Tim Allen, he was the size of a moon. But by this point now, he's the size of, we're approaching like Jupiter sizes. So yeah, a lot of gravitational pull. He's attracting
people
a lot
have to
of
understand
celestial
that
bodies.
we're talking simultaneous timelines, not consecutive, simultaneous. We don't spell it out for you, but hopefully to the audience it becomes clear as time goes on.
We just leave a few hints here and there.
Right?
One thing I wanted to ask, with the Tim Allen constantly expanding, did Tim Allen's face constantly expand as well? Otherwise, in my head, obviously he was a Santa Claus, so it's just either a big red ball. But did his face expand with it, or is if you know the right landing site, you can actually find him and talk to him, or is his head face fucking massive as well?
Well, I think this is our opportunity to retcon that because I remember pretty vividly actually that you were all about his whole everything expands over his face, so essentially he can't breathe, but he can't die, so essentially he's just permanently suffocating to death.
Oh, so from a distance it looks
under
like a
his own
butthole.
blubber, like being trapped in an avalanche.
Right. Okay.
I think from a distance, it's all he is just like a amorphous flesh.
Right. Okay. Well, perhaps this takes on a different takes on different behaviors as it progresses. I mean,
he's still got. By the way, he's still got his normal skeleton in there.
But you just have to really dig deep to the core.
It's not like you can. Well, you're never going to find it. I mean, you can't dig fast enough. He's growing faster than you can dig. I mean, you wouldn't be able to land on any part of him and be like, this is his finger or anything. It's just one huge
fingernail. The one part that did proportionally expand, along with the dirt underneath it.
Oh. And that's humanity's only option for survival, is to live in this enormous, ever-expanding fingernail dirt.
Well, it's the only solid land, yeah. I suppose the fat would just ripple. It would take on a sort of water-like viscosity. And
Well, I mean, I suppose if you think about it, we wouldn't have... dirt is just dead things, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not... Yeah, just a whole lot of... Yeah, detritus, I suppose.
Dear comment section, can you answer this question?
What is dirt?
I should go to a Senate hearing and ask that. Oi, what is dirt?
We'll take a link to Wikipedia if you can't. Yeah.
Oh, thank God! Someone finally typed dirt into Google for me.
It's a lot of letters. No, it's not. But my keyboard's very sticky. If I type in D, it'll type in D D D D D D D D D.
Oh, yeah. So it's unusable.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah.
Same with the spacebar, but on Macs it just makes that horrible chiming noise every time. It just repeats ad nauseum. Can't use it anymore. So I put the computer in the bin, but not the keyboard.
Wow, it's been a long time since I used a computer. A long time since I used a Mac or a computer with the sound on to know these things.
There you go. I'm glad I could educate you.
Yeah.
Today's not a waste. You've learned something.
Like, when you occasionally hear, it's always like a praiseful thing where it's like, and in our class today, or, our university has students aged 18 to, there's one person here who is 82 years old and they've decided to get a degree in psychology or whatever. And it's always like, oh, that's great. This old person, who doesn't need to get this degree or study at university has decided to go and do it. Isn't that great? Like, no, that's a waste of fucking time.
I wholeheartedly agree. They should have given up. Just, yeah.
You
dug their own grave. Fine, lie down.
You can be interested in these things and read about them and, all that. You're never going to be able to put them into practice when you're like 80-something. And frankly, it's a great time to start smoking. It's a great time to start doing drugs and drinking hard and eating pizzas all the time.
Is this your
shit like that?
Is this your advert for people to not look up dirt on Wikipedia? Do drugs instead. I mean, I'm not saying no, Damien.
It's my advert. It's my advert for not being like an 80-year-old and being like, I'm going to spend the next 3 years of my life studying anything in a formal environment. I'm not saying like don't study things you're interested in, just why bother going to a university and getting a degree? I've never understood that.
I'm a professor of dirtology.
Just for fun, like it's nothing to do with dirt. I'm just mentioning this.
I understand. I apologize.
Well, I did a film degree that was practical and theory, sort of 50-50. And the only stuff I learned that was properly taught by people who knew what they were talking about was the theory stuff, and it was really interesting, and it was taught by a doctor of film and someone who was getting their PhD in film. The actual like this is how to use a camera, this is how to set up a shot were set up were taught by people who had failed in that industry, and that's why they were doing it.
Yeah. Well, at least if they get the fundamentals
And
right,
it was so basic, like the. Yeah, I mean, but the stuff that was taught, you could have learned, and again, I wouldn't have even known to do this, especially not at 18. But you could have gone down to London and stayed in a place for £100 a week back then, shitty little place, and worked on sets for like free. And you could have learned everything they taught me in 3 years. You could have learned that in like probably about a month on sets, working on sets for free and stuff like that. They taught us nothing about lenses. They taught us zero about audio. We were recording audio into cameras.
Oh,
straight into cameras.
nasty.
And yeah, just I don't know. I definitely feel kind of shortchanged, but
Well, yeah, I would say so. If you were capturing audio directly into camera, I think you'd be righteously shafted there because audio capture is a huge part of it. Really learning how to mic things and what have you.
Yeah, and the thing was as well was a big part of that university was their audio department. So they had all the equipment. They had boom mics and everything. Because I remember renting them out and doing it independently, just where you just couldn't get them out at the same time. You couldn't get a camera out at the same time and the audio equipment at the same time because the audio equipment was just for audio students. Even though it was, well, not even though, but it was like booms and stuff. Perfect. So, yeah, I mean, I remember even asking someone, why can't we do that? And they said, oh, we just don't have the equipment. But if I just do it independently where I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to get a camera and then come back an hour later and say, I want to get some audio equipment, the fucking dozy cow behind the counter can't remember me, so she just assumes I'm an audio student, gives it to me, so I could still use it as you're meant to. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm ranting and it's boring now.
Oh, you were just getting some momentum. I was getting excited.
Just who ate all the babies? Who ate all the babies? I did.
Oh dear, madam, I'm terribly sorry.
I ate your baby. I ate it up. I went, ugh!
Very distraught mother. Why are you trying to remove me from the hospital?
Yeah,
I haven't done nothing.
I was going to...
Other than replenish myself.
I was going to say that it occurs to me that most people listening to this probably have never seen Frasier.
Okay. So, what, we paint them a picture? I think we already have. He's a sex pest. He should be behind bars. A wealthy sex pest. That's why he gets away with it.
Yeah. Yes, it occurs to me that people might not have seen Frasier. And yeah, I was wondering if you could just sum it up very quickly for people who haven't. Like, not just what it's about. Like, people know he's a radio psychiatrist. It's not really about anything. It's a sitcom. He lives with his dad. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
right? There's not... Yeah.
A wealthy Ponce
but
tries to...
what's the vibe of it? A wealthy Ponce what?
A wealthy Ponce shilling out. There you go. Who can't get laid except for when he can get laid at very extreme costs. To both himself, his family, and definitely his victims. And there's a very charming dog in there, if you get bored.
Yeah. And as much as we dislike Frasier, Kelsey Grammer's performance as him is really sublime. I think he's a really impressive actor. Because he's nothing like Frasier, I don't think. I mean, who could be?
But if I met Kelsey Grammer and he wasn't like Frasier, I would be disappointed. I don't know. It's, yeah.
Well, yeah. I understand.
He would have to be Frasier. So, sorry, can you dress up for me, please? Say it. Say it. Say I'm listening. Fuck's sake.
Right. All right. Yeah. So what's the vibe of it? Is it creepy? Like looking back at it?
No, it's creepy that when we talk about it and we decide to like focus on a couple of the really like offhand comments or the certain circumstances, but it is played for yucks. The canned laughter will remind you that it's supposed to be funny, although the circumstances can be harrowing sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. I mean, I took it for granted as a kid. I used to obviously watch it loads, and it's very funny. But when I started watching it with you, and we used to like pause it halfway through and start discussing what was happening. It's like, why would a man do this unless he is a sociopath?
I mean, yeah, seriously. When you think about it, that's where the value is in it is analyzing Frasier because
How ironic.
it's not just incidental. Like it's not, I don't think it's like the best written thing or anything, but it's not accidental that his behavior is so suspect. It's not accidental that his brother is a much better psychiatrist than he is, even though we never are told these things explicitly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Frasier studies.
My new show. It's just the same as before. Frasier did poopy. Martin
we
was
would
sad.
pause it halfway through, and we would pause it halfway through and have discussions like, "What is this man doing, and why?"
I think I need some fresh air. No human being would do this. There'd be severe repercussions within the confines of the law.
Yeah.
Do you think
Yeah,
Frasier's
he'd be
allowed
unemployable.
children within 50 yards? These were the questions we would ask.
Yeah, as well as like, who would listen to this shit? And that's definitely like part of the show. Like the show is sort of hinting that his show
Is really successful. Yeah.
his radio show is really successful, but it's terrible, right?
Yeah, I imagine so. I've never really heard of anything quite like
I mean,
that. Definitely not in the UK. I'm not sure about the US.
but I mean the show Frasier knows that Frasier's radio show is shit. Like it looks down upon it.
Yeah. It's well, he's frequently regarded as kind of illegitimate as a psychiatrist. But at least for the first few seasons, they started doing some stupid. They tried to bring him back to practice or stuff like that, and they had some really bad episodes with that one. But yeah, but they regard it as like fast food, right? I think they call it that in the show, and that's why everyone seems to kind of keep lapping it up. But it's otherwise a joke. I've never heard anything quite like that on a radio before. Like 3 hours. They never really mention it, but I assume it's supposed to be like drive time. If he's, as popular as everyone in Seattle seems to love him, so I presume it's drive time. He's very popular. So, yeah.
What's drive time?
Just peak hours for the radio. So it'd be like kind of rush hour. When people essentially like listen to radios in their cars as they travel and stuff like that. As I understand it, you've got it's like between like 3 to 6 or something, and then you have like the morning hours as well as people are going to work. Those are like the coveted slots, I think. But yeah, I assume he's
right. Yeah,
he's not. It's not treated like he's kind of like a midday slot where he's kind of throwaway or anything like that. I mean, they had that fucking Frasier Crane day.
No, he's on 2 to 5.
2 to 5. If you just looked it up.
Yeah. No, I know my Frasier.
Oh, okay. Well, I am one with my shame and humiliation. It's supposed to be my thing.
Yeah.
Well, my credentials have slipped.
Laughs.
Could I recommend it? No. Yes. Yes. If you have the experience that we've had watching Frasier, yes. I get. I just watch it with a very critical eye, not of the show, but of that man's behavior, and you'll have a wild time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes confusing,
That's definitely the way
sometimes
to do
a
it.
little upsetting.
Yeah, and obviously, it's a sitcom. It's not all it's not all canon or anything. It's not like it's written with like the lore in mind or anything. But the few times that Niles acts inappropriately, and there are quite a few times, I always sort of think, you're better than this, Niles. I never think that when Frasier acts inappropriately.
I just take another sip of my drink. But Niles, fuck's sake, man. Stop sniffing her hair. She's literally right there. That's the whole point. Leave her
Yeah,
alone.
and I think as well. I think as well. Again, I read it as implied by the show that Niles was both his mother and father's favorite, and also that his mother and father probably blame Frasier for a lot of Niles's undesirable behaviors and traits. like Frasier's the bigger girl,
Right.
You know,
So if Niles was a bit more
Niles
well-adjusted.
is going to be influenced by his brother.
Yeah.
I think basically, I think Niles is more well-adjusted than Frasier anyway. But I think if Frasier had not existed, I think Niles would be pretty normal.
Yeah,
I guess I should say at this point, like, I mean this all as a joke, by the way. I'm not actually analysing Frasier. But yeah,
I don't
go
know.
on.
I'm taking notes. Yeah, but potentially, if it were for Frasier, Niles and Martin would be like drinking buddies. Very close-knit relationship. But because of Frasier, he's a weenie.
Yeah, basically, I think that Niles would be way less of a weenie. He might still be a bit of a weenie, but I think he'd be way less of one. And still be, his charming, sensitive self.
Just another thing we can blame Frasier
And also hair sniffy self.
for. Yeah. We'll add it to the list of
Yes.
charges.
Yeah, we really don't like Frasier. Huh?
That being said, it's worth a rewatch now. They don't have it on Netflix.
Well,
Not here. At least.
no, they don't. My idea for What's Eddie, which is nowhere near as good as yours, so I'll just mention it very quickly. It was Eddie is a stuffed polar bear that can psychically communicate to Niles, Martin, and Frasier, and they all know this. They all talk about it, but it speaks in like really cryptic ways and rarely, and they just cannot work out exactly what it means all the time. And then Daphne is the first person who's not a crane who can pick up on this, and as the seasons go on, she can speak to it, and she's the only one who can speak to it.
Right.
That's it. That's as far as I got. Yeah. Obviously not as good as Eddie Body, Eddie Head.
Well, it had more legs than I thought it would. But yeah, it was the 10 seconds of work I was prepared to put in.
Wait, what did you think I was going to say? There's Eddie.
I thought Eddie was going to be Derek Jacobi.
Well, shall we call it a...
Go on.
Oh, that's kind of unsettling. Yeah, I guess he does sort of... He would fit.
No, I thought Eddie would be like Martin's boyfriend, and it'd be played by Derek Jacobi, but a la his role in Frasier much later on. So every time, Frasier would be sleeping in bed at night, and every now and again he'd just say, and you know that Derek Jacobi's really eating his arsehole, he's just coming up for air. And that's the life that Frasier didn't want. It's only his sex pestering that's going to be allowed in this house, not Martin's.
So he makes that noise especially during sex, but also occasionally just like out and about. So Frasier's like constantly reminded. Like, morning, Frasier. Oh, my allergies today.
But always,
Like
always
that.
gets up close, like pretty close to his ear. Sometimes he'll do it softer as well, just to give him a little taste.
And
Because Eddie knows that this
And what's
fucks
that-
off Frasier, so he likes.
What's his character's name?
I can't
Eddie.
remember.
So Frasier has to go. No, his Terry Check will be playing Eddie as a like 70-year-old gay man.
Yeah.
So Frasier goes up to Eddie occasionally and says, "Eddie, you've got some of my dad's shit on your face."
Just sucks it in.
Oh.
He's like a vacuum,
And he's always wearing a gimp suit.
He can like unhinge his
That's just
jaw
his
and it
character.
flaps like a pelican. It becomes this human vacuum.
Well, that's not a vacuum though. Just being able to do that. Like, where's the suction coming from? He's an amateur body modder.
It really works on his diaphragm. Can only it's it's either 5 seconds of really intense suction or you can kind of pace it up to like 20 seconds for kind of milder suction depending on Martin's needs in the moment.
Can he do stairs?
Can he do what, sorry?
Can he do stairs? Like, can he get into all the nooks and crannies on stairs?
Well, I imagine so.
The suction's all very well, but like, if you can't get there,
Oh, so so Frasier has a workaround, right? So he hates it at first, but he learns to kind of tolerate it if he's implemented as a household appliance.
right? So we've got we've got Jeff Goldblum's head on Eddie's body, and Eddie's head on Jeff Goldblum's body, and also Eddie is also a separate person, just a guy who happens to be called Eddie, who is Martin's live-in lover, who dresses in like PVC all the time, and also
Just crawls
is,
along the
like
floors.
a human vacuum cleaner, literally.
Yep.
And
that's
is he
exactly
doing it
what I
like?
wanted.
Is he like going through? Is he going through? Is he going through the carpet and like picking up crumbs like a chimp, like picking them up really quickly close to his
Oh no
mouth?
no
and,
no
like,
no no
throwing
no!
them in? Or is it just
he's
all
crawling on his hands and knees. It's all suction. He's absolutely
it's all
useless.
suction?
But Frasier kind of will just let him feel useful. That way, he's off Martin's case just for like 20 minutes a day. Otherwise, he's like super horny.
Like he's in the Guinness World Record book for having the like largest, most developed diaphragm ever.
That's why he has such a distended belly.
Right?
He's not just crawling across the floor because
Yeah,
he's
he's
pretending to be
just
a
got the most-
Hoover. He can't manage it. It's the only way.
And that's even how they sell this year's edition. They've got like a silver star on the front cover, and it says "include this year's records, including," and then it's like new records like world's most obese snake, world's
Wait
world's
a
most
minute.
powerful sucking muscles. World's most racist piece of corn.
After a
Yeah.
while, he gives up on the hands and legs and just starts
Yeah.
undulating like a caterpillar. This is what Frasier could see all this coming a mile away. That's why he was so frightened for him to come live with him.
Not the Eddies. They're insane. All three of them.
Legion.
Yeah, I suppose they're really the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost to the puppy ball. So it's all coming together now. The Frasier quasi-religious law.
Oh, when we write this Bible, we know where to start now.
At the beginning, there was Eddie, and then
That was a
Eddie
regular
created
dog.
Eddie,
He separated himself.
of which we know nothing. You can hear my dog now.
I trust it has a dog-like face. If I hear Jeff Goldblum now, I'm hanging up.
Face finds a way. Oh well, I think I think we've cracked it. That's what Eddie is. It's those three things, and a puppy ball.
That was a show good.
And
George.
it fits into our ever-increasing dramatic universe.
Yes. Our cinematic podcast universe.
Yeah.
And if
With Tim Allen and, stuff like that.
yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg with midgets for legs.
Yep.
Upside down midgets. That's what stops him being dumb.
So he's basically
Although
two
I
handstands.
guess they could actually. No, I guess actually it would make more sense if their knees were also Mark Wahlberg's knees were also the midgets' heads.
I was about to
So
say,
then,
maybe if
he actually has 4 legs.
4 legs, but he just has these heads fused into his knees. Like they were melted in.
So then he's got so much movement there because he can move on their necks.
Oh
He
yeah,
can
he's
move
as
with,
short.
on their backs. Like one could kneel and
He's as sure-footed as a mountain goat. He can scale
Yeah.
Everest just by himself. He has his own little Sherpas already.
Yeah, and if you think about it as well, this would make him like 8.5 feet tall. So
One of those tall midgets you've
the
heard
world
about.
is his oyster, really. Yeah. It's tall midgets that has 3 social security numbers.
It's just toddlers now, you know. And they're growing.
Yeah. Yeah, or he could, like, his knees could end, like, on their, like, the back of their pelvises, and then they could be, like, running on all 4s, and then they could, like, climb cliffs and stuff, and he could, like, lean back and, like, look
Just
up the cliff
dangle. Yeah.
and such.
Because they have like razor claws they can
just
bury
go
into
to sleep.
rock. He goes limp because he lets all the liquid out of his body, so they don't have too much of a weight encumbrance as they fucking scale these cliffs. Reinflates it
Yeah.
like a balloon
And,
when they're at the plateau.
He takes the opportunity to do some crunches, stuff like that. Tan his neck.
Well, all players in one hell of a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we're done then. So,
Yeah.
thanks for listening. Bye.
Goodbye.